this last time. Okay. Then we talked a little bit about the 5 major schools that we know about. We know about the Abu Hanifa, the Hanafi school is named after him. We talked about Imam Malik, the Maliki school is named after him. Then we talked about Imam Shafi'i, the Shafi'i school is named after him, and Imam Ibn Hanbal, the Hanbali school is named after him. Then we have Imam Dawud al-Zahiri, and the Zahiri school is named after him. And we talked about, I'm not going to do it again. You can watch the video from last time if you're interested. If you're interested, you'll watch the video from last time, which is how each of these big gigantic names, they had a methodology, they had a manhaj, they had a methodology, and they used these sources of law to come up with the rulings. Okay. Why just these 4? Well, these 4 were the top scholars of their time. Not only that, they were so famous and so respectful that they had a huge following, huge following. And because of political reasons, because of other reasons, because of they had a big following, they had a lot of students, and those students had a lot of other students. These 4 became popular. Are these the only 4 schools? No, there were more schools, but these became the popular schools. For example, why do I say areas? Why is the Shafi'i school popular in certain areas? Why? For example, in Indonesia, most people are Shafi'i. Why? It's politics, okay? Politics. So, for example, when the Ottoman Empire came to power, they adopted the Hanafi school. And as a result, wherever the Ottoman Empire spread, what do you think they promoted? Hanafi school. Not that because others were wrong, that was just what they adopted. And wherever they took over, they promoted the Hanafi school. That's how it works. Okay, so none of them, they're not right or wrong, or one is better than the other. They're just different methodologies. Okay, so this is basically what we talked about last time. And one last thing, well, it's not important. It's going to confuse you. Okay, clear. Now, I want to talk about the development of the schools. Okay, the development of the schools. I'm just going to spend 30 seconds on it, inshallah. This development of the school happened over 1,300 years. Okay, it's a long time. Okay, what we call the Hanafi school right now, the Hanafi Madhhab, is that exactly what Abu Hanifa's rulings were? No. The school developed. Okay, those were, you can say, proto Hanaf. Imam Abu Hanifa, whatever rulings he came up with, his students even sometimes disagreed with his opinion. They said, no, we believe he was wrong. We believe this is the right opinion. And obviously those students will have students, and those students will have students, and those students will have students over all these centuries, right? So the school develops. Clear? So the Hanafi school now is not the exact copy paste of Imam Abu Hanifa. Okay? Students influence. And then some students become the exemplars of a particular school. So let me give you Imam Shafi'i's example. Imam Shafi'i's, when after Imam Shafi'i, Imam al-Shafi'i himself in his lifetime had 2 schools. His early school is called the early school of Imam Shafi'i. He believed in certain principles. Then, as he learned more, when he went to Egypt, remember last time we talked about he went to Egypt, he went and studied with Imam Malik, he went and studied with Imam Abu Hanifa's students, he went and studied with Imam Lays al-Sa'ad in Egypt. When he went to Egypt, he learned, oh, I am not this methodology, this additional piece of information or this additional piece of methodology is very important and I'm not using it. So he started to use that methodology. And then he adopted a new school. I mean, he formed a new school, a new process. Later on, there was a schism, there was a divide between, there were Shafi'i version 1, Shafi'i version 2. Later on, have you heard of Imam al-Nawawi? You know, the one who wrote the 40 of Imam Nawawi and Riyadh al-Salihin, the compiler of Riyadh al-Salihin. He's a very, very, very important figure in Shafi'i fiqh. Imam al-Ghazali, for example, was also Shafi'i. Anyways, Imam al-Nawawi, he was the one, and him and a couple of others, top scholars, they combined version 1, version 2 into one, and the Shafi'i school that we know now. So the if Imam an-Nawawi said something, essentially that becomes the Shafi'i school. Is that what Imam Shafi'i believed in, or not believed in? Is that the exact rulings of Imam Shafi'i? Likely not. It developed. Okay, so what I'm saying is each school developed, and what we have now is not exactly what the scholars had. So just a little bit of information. So in historically speaking, the scholars divide the development of the schools into 3 stages. The first one are called the first one is called the mutaqaddimin. Okay, the early ones, and the middle ones are called mutawassitin, the middle period, and then there's the later period. The Arabic terms are not important. Clear? Okay. So if I had, do we have the cable now? No. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Because sometimes these graphics help. Okay. So since you kind of have an idea that the schools developed over time, there will be opinions about certain things that will change. Clear? Right? There's going to be an older opinion or another opinion. There's going to be a lot of opinions. For example, uh, is something, let me use a more benign example. Where do you place the hands? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is the placing the hands sunnah, or is it not sunnah? We'll come to what I mean by that. Is it like if you, is your salah valid if you don't tie your hands? That's what I mean by that. So that opinion might change, okay, based on evidences. Remember, we talked about the development of hadith came much later. The development of fiqh school started earlier. The development of hadith came later, which later on influenced the development of the fiqh schools, and then there was more evidences and all that good stuff. Okay, so there's going to be multiple opinions. Some opinions within one school will become more popular than other opinions. Okay. Some opinions within one school will become more popular than other opinions. Other opinions are considered minor opinions, not so popular, but they're still valid opinions. They're based on clear evidence, and some are more popular opinions. So there's some terms for that. You must have heard al-mashhur, the famous opinion. It's called the dominant opinion. Okay. So when you pick up a book of fiqh, okay, a very simple book of fiqh, okay, of how to pray witr, how to pray tarawih, how to pray, I don't know, whatever, right? How to buy and sell. What you will find is the dominant opinion, because otherwise there's lots of opinion. Clear? Make sense? Okay. Maybe this is too deep for you, or it's not confusing? Okay, alhamdulillah. So I just want you to remember that for every single issue, I mean, there's some issues there's no disagreement upon. On certain issues, which are a little bit gray, because the evidences are not clear, you're going to have a dominant opinion, a mashhur opinion, and a qawl, and just an opinion. They're all valid opinions. Okay. For example, holding the mushaf in the salah, right? We had a little slight agreement with the imam. For example, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, the person, not the school, not the Hanafi school. Okay, I'm talking within the school. Holding the mushaf during the salah, Imam Abu Hanifa said that breaks your salah. Okay, that corrupts your salah, according to Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ibn Hanbal, they all allow it. It does not break your salah. Okay, your nafal salah. For your fard salah, none of them recommend you hold the mushaf for the fard salah, but for the nafila, for tarawih, for example, you can hold them. But Imam Abu Hanifa said, no, that breaks your salah. Okay, or it corrupts your salah, to be more accurate. His students, though, it's Imam Abu Hanifa's students, remember the Sahibain we talked about last time? Imam al-Shaybani and Imam Abu Yusuf, they disagreed with Abu Hanifa and they said holding the mushaf is makruh, but it doesn't break your salah. And we'll talk about, there's a couple of types of makruh. We'll talk about that today, inshallah. It's a very important topic. We'll be able to get to it, inshallah. I'm just introducing to you that there's not just one opinion in one school. Clear? One school does not just have one opinion. So you're going to have the spectrum. Clear? You put all the schools together, all 5 schools, say, okay? All 5 known majorly documented schools. When you put all their opinions together, they kind of all start to look the same. Okay? So that's why most of our deen is all the same. You clear what I mean? One school may prefer one opinion over another opinion, but if you take some of the minor opinions and put them all together, it's all the same. Clear? Okay, so what is the major opinion called? Mashhur, and the other one is called qawl, or it's called wajh, another opinion. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Why are these scholars having these different opinions? They are all trying to approach the Sharia. You know what do we say in the American Constitution? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What do you think that these imams were doing? The pursuit of the Sunnah, the Sharia, the pursuit of Sharia. So they are disagreeing with each other with respect, because they feel that their opinion is closer to the Sharia than the other person. Academics. This is not for us. Okay? This is not for us. This is super complex. Okay? The only reason they're disagreeing, not because of their ego, because they want to get to the truth. And they want to come as close to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as they can. Okay, so I'll read something that Hamza Yusuf, you know Hamza Yusuf? Everybody knows, inshallah, I hope everybody knows Hamza Yusuf. He's one of the top scholars in the US right now, the founder of Zaytuna College in California. So I'm going to read something that he wrote in a book that he did an intro for. He said, what many Muslims are unaware of, I'm reading this verbatim, okay? What many Muslims are unaware of is that the various schools differ among themselves, but within each school, is also vast array of differences, like I explained to you. Okay? Within each school, there are differences, okay? Each school basically developed this dominant opinion. The position then got nuanced because, for example, the Shafi'is of Indonesia might have a different opinion, a different dominant opinion than the Shafi'is of, I don't know, Somalia or Libya. Okay, they might have a different dominant opinion. So there's regional preferences as well. Clear? Because there's scholarship there. So this creates, he says, a great deal of confusion for even very, very smart scholars. Can you say, since there's even regional differences, can you write one book that says this is the dominant opinion of the Shafi'i school? Well, there's no such thing as the Shafi'i school. There is no such thing. There's going to be different Shafi'i school per region, maybe, right? You understand what I'm trying to say? So what Hamza Yusuf is trying to say, that It takes, he says, I'll just summarize now. He's saying it takes a lifetime to become an expert of all the opinions in one school. This is what he says. It takes a lifetime to become an expert, even in one school. And he knows of only one scholar in the history of Islam, according to Hamza Yusuf. In the history of Islam, he said, there's only one scholar. His name is Daqiq al-Eid, very, very famous scholar. He was the one who was the expert of Shafi'i school and Maliki school. Two schools, not even the four or the five. Okay. So he says it takes a lifetime to become even an expert in one school. So he says, be careful when somebody comes to you and says, I know the major opinions of all of the schools. So basically, when you pick up a book of fiqh, it doesn't matter which one, it is likely going to be biased toward a certain sub school within the major school. The book we're reading, Ibn Qudama, for example, he is a representative of a sub school within the larger Hanbali school. Okay, so the dominant opinion of the nowadays Hanbali school is slightly different from even Ibn Qudama, the author of the book that we're reading. Okay, clear? I just wanted to give you that idea. It is not as simple as we think it is. So that's why I'm introducing these complexities. When I was saying the pursuit of the Sunnah, the pursuit of the Sharia, all of these scholars, all they're trying to do is doing their ijtihad, coming with the methodology to approach the Sharia. I just wanted to show you that graphic. Clear? Okay. Now, very, very cool piece of information I'll give you, inshallah. Why do we need madhabs? Remember, I told you what madhab is. Madhab is just a collection of all of the opinions of a particular school. It's called a madhab. So madhab al-Shafi'i will have the collection of all their opinions together on all topics put together. It's a madhab. Okay. Great. But this works, right? Because now, if you want to know how do I pray, you don't have to go into Quran and Sunnah and figure this stuff out on your own. Now you have somebody, a school, gigantic scholars. They've already done all the research. How do I pray? This is how I pray. How do I fast? This is how I fast. How do I pay zakat? This is how I pay zakat. Clear? That's the purpose of the madhab. Right? And you follow whichever one. Yes. It's like wasn't for one like Imam Shafi separate, Imam Hanafi separate. There are going to be slight differences, but that's okay. You follow one, no problem. Okay, we'll talk about that. How to know which school to follow. Yes. Also, the meaning of madhab in Urdu is like deen, like religion. So yeah, it's not an Urdu word. Okay, madhab means a place where you go, a path you take. That's the word madhab. Okay, so in Urdu it means religion because that's a path you take as well. But in Arabic, that's not what that word means. It doesn't mean religion. It doesn't mean you have a different religion. I think that's a good point. It causes confusion in people's head. It's like, oh, my madhab, I can't change my madhab because I'm going to change my religion. No, you're not changing your religion, Habibi. Okay, you change your religion when you no longer believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. If we believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, you're not changing your religion. Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Barakallahu feek. Okay, now let's do a case study why madhab is important or how it becomes useful. You already kind of understand this. So if you don't already know this, there's an ayah in the Quran that describes what you need to do for wudu. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, if you guys can see this, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, let me make it a little bit even larger. I can't, unfortunate. Anyways, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, idha qumtum ila salah, when you stand to pray, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, then wash your face. وأيديكم, and wash your arms. إلى المرافق, until the elbows. وامسحوا برؤوسكم, and do masah on your head. I'm not exactly translating. I just want to keep it simple, okay? There's a lot of detail in here. I'm totally skipping over. There's these words that scholars pick this apart because why are they picking this apart? Just because they want to make it more complicated? No, because they want to follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the Quran. They don't want to misunderstand anything. They go into a lot of detail. For example, wamsahu bi ru'usikum. What does this bi mean? Does it mean you a little bit of masa on your head is sufficient, or you have to do 1/3 of your head, or do you have to do all of your head? They're going to all of these details. Why? Because they want to approach the Sharia. They want to best understand how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do wudu. Okay, this is just a slight example. Okay, wa arjulakum, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the ayah continues, and wash your feet ilal ka'bain, until the ankles. Oh wow. This is one of the unique ayat in the Quran where the process of wudu is defined. Okay. Is there an order? Now let me just ask the audience here. Is there an order Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe how to do wudu? Faqsilu wujukum, wash your faces, wa aydiyakum, and wash your arms, and do masah, and wash your feet. Is that how we do wudu? No. Yeah, we do. Come on. Don't we wash our face? No, we wash our hand first. We will talk about that detail later. By the way, that hand washing, that is not wudu, part of wudu. Okay? But that we're washing our hands to be clean. We start our wudu with the gargling. That's wudu. Okay. And we'll talk about that inshallah. Order is the same. Order is the same. Yes. Exactly. Order is exactly the same. But does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intend an order in this? For example, if you accidentally wash your arms before your face, or you do your masah after you wash your feet, does that break your wudu? No, you can't guess. This is not, fiqh is not guessing. You want to approach the Sharia, okay? So I'm just giving you an example. So I have a question. Yeah. What about the like washing your face means like that's. We'll talk about that. Doing the gargling and the cleaning your nose, it is not from the mandatory fard part of the wudu. Is your wudu valid without doing the gargling and your cleaning your nose? Yes. Okay. But I'm not talking about that part. We'll talk about the details of wudu later on. Okay. Because I think they came with the masa also. That's why those two things are not that important. Because no, it's not in the ayah. This is why it's not. It's not in the ayah. Did the ayah say gargle? Did the ayah say clean your nose? No. So you see the detail why something is fard and why something is not fard. It's from this ayah. Okay? Because the Quran take preference. How can you add something and make it fard when it's not in the Quran? Anyway, this is complex. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea. Now, if you don't follow the right order, do the right tertib of the wudu, is your wudu valid or not? This is a good question. It's a good question. Okay. Will you find in the Quran or in the Sunnah an evidence for the following of the order is mandatory? Because otherwise your wudu is not valid. Well, there's no such evidence. What are you going to do? We're not going to figure that out right now, but I'm just going to give you the opinions. So the Hanafi and the Maliki, they say order of the wudu is sunnah, is not fard. So if you do wudu out of order, your wudu is still valid. Shafi'i and Hanbali, they're more text-based, right? So they're gonna remember from our last discussion, they're more based on the Quran and Sunnah and okay. So they said order of the wudu is fard. So if you break the order, your wudu is not valid. Clear? I'm just giving you an idea. We were talking about why a madhhab is important. A madhhab is important because you want to follow a consistent methodology. So these madhabs help you with not having to worry or think about anything. You just follow your school that you went to. This is what I learned from my school. This is what I know. I'll just follow. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I don't have to think. Okay? So you need a madhab. Okay. Now, who are the Salafis? If we have Hanafi, Maliki, Hanbali, Shafi'i, who are the Salafis? So this is going to be a longer discussion, but it's a very important discussion. Salafism is a modern phenomenon. It's a modern phenomenon. It didn't exist before 150 years ago, or actually even 100 years ago. Okay, it didn't exist. What are these people trying to do? They aspire to say, oh, it's very aspirational, but at the same time, it creates a lot of friction, a lot of toxic friction in our ummah right now. Okay, lot of toxic friction. They say, you must have heard the example. Oh, I don't want to believe what Hanafis say and Malikis say, and you must have heard something like that. Or the Shafi'i says, I want to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Have you heard this slogan before? I don't want to hear anybody's opinion. I want to know what Quran and Sunnah say about it. Have you heard this before? That's where this is coming from. We'll go back to why this is wrong. Okay, but it has its pros and its cons. Okay, this started around 150 years ago or something like that. Okay, so they say all of this is not good. All of these schools are bad because they're misleading. They are not following the first three generations of Muslims. Okay, why are the first three generations important? Just a little bit of background. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, everybody agrees that the first three so he said, khairul astaghfirullah, khairun nas qarni, the best people are my generation, which means the generation of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba. وَالَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ وَالَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. You must have heard this in the khutbah all the time. People say this all the time. Then people who follow them, and then people who follow them. So the three generations. Exactly what the definition of three generations is also disputed. What's a generation? Is it 100 years? Is it really just the students? What is the first three generations? So that itself is disputed. Anyways, they say, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, these are the best three generations. So who should we follow? We have to follow the three generations. All of these imams, they came later after the three generations. So we're not going to consider them. We're just going to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. Salafi's thought process. Great. Awesome. Wonderful idea. Wonderful idea. Okay. But it's misleading because I'll tell you why. Okay. I don't want to go into too much detail, but is there just one Salafi sect? No, they themselves have different sects that differ vastly from each other. Okay, so they say they want to follow the Quran and Sunnah. What do you think the other schools are trying to do? Do the same thing, exactly the same thing. So they're saying they're going to go back to the raw data, right? The Quran and the Sunnah. Guess what? They have to have a methodology too. Don't you have to have a methodology to derive information? For example, if you break the order of the wudu, is it fard or is it sunnah? Is it your wudu valid or not? Don't they have to have a methodology? Okay, yes. If they have to have a methodology, then they have a school. So how is that different from the school of Abu Hanifa, school of Malik, school, it's not different. So what they say sounds good. But in reality, it's exactly the same. So they are, what are they called? The anti-madhhab. They're anti-madhhab. They don't want to believe. So they, for example, there's top scholars right now, and this phenomenon is mostly common uh, in the Saudi area, right? And even in Jordan. Okay. There's, you must have heard of Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Fawzan. They're the Salafi shuyukh. Okay, that's what they preach. But they have a methodology. So all of their followers are going to follow his methodology. So what are they doing? They're just following another school. No problem. Follow the school. It's just another school. That's all it is. It's just another school. No reason to hate on other schools, right? Because it creates this corrosive, toxic division. Make sense? It's a primary reason. This is the most important topic of why I'm giving you this intro. Oh, we want to follow what does Quran and Sunnah say about this? Well, just pick up a book of fiqh, talk to a scholar, and you'll get your answer what Quran and Sunnah say about it. It doesn't matter which scholar you go to, as long as it's a reputable scholar. So what the bottom line is in this blue note, all madhabs needs a methodology. Doesn't matter what you call it. Okay. If you're anti-madhab, then you have your own madhab, right? You have your own madhab. It's as simple as that. Okay. So, but there are benefits of Salafi movement. I am a product of Salafi movement. How am I a product of the Salafi movement? I'll tell you what the Salafi movement did, because they're saying, give me evidence for your opinion. What that forced everyone to do is go back and understand the evidence. So this is what Sheikh Yasir Qadi, this is a summary of a paper that he wrote. The primacy of the text. He gave importance to the Quran and Sunnah. Importance. Not that it wasn't important. He brought attention back to it. You understand? He attention. So now, if you're just a Hanafi, let's say in Pakistan somewhere, 50 years ago, and I don't know, you pray a witr one way, and somebody asks you, why do you pray witr this way? You're like, I don't know, I'm just following my school. Okay, they talk to the school's top imam, and he says, oh no, this is the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa. Then you ask, well, how did Abu Hanifa come up with this opinion? And you're like, I don't know. Because obviously, not everybody's a scholar. So they're like, oh, if you don't know, then you have no clue what you're doing anyway. You're not following the Quran and Sunnah. You're following the opinion of another school. So the other school is like, oh no, he's right. I need to know, right? So he's going to go back and look for the evidence. You understand? Ego, right? So if he wants to prove he's right, because it's like politics, right? Democrats, Republicans, it's sports fans, my team is better than your team, and all of that. That kind of mentality starts to develop. It's very human. The tribal mentality starts to develop. We human beings are still very, very tribal, even though we think we are not. We're very tribal. You're only going to follow your dad. And the way he taught you, you're going to only pray. It doesn't matter what you hear. It doesn't matter what I say here or what you see me do. You will only follow what you learn. The tribal mentality. It's okay. So what that did, it forced other people to kind of go back to the evidence. So that was the benefit of the Salafi movement. You understand? It created a lot of toxicity, but at the same time, it created this. It brought the importance back to the Quran and Sunnah, and as a result, these are the Salafi movement is the reason why you have so many Islamic websites online right now. You have Islam Q&A, you have this and that, you have all of the books of hadith and all of the classical opinions and everything online is a result of the Salafis challenging the schools. Okay? So why did I say I'm a product of this? Because a long time ago, when I was about, Ilhan's age, Mario's age, you must have heard of a book called Sifat Salat al-Nabi. You remember? Sifat Salat al-Nabi? No? The description of the prayer of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, written by Imam Albani. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Sifat Salatul Nabi. It's a book. So what? So there was a very very famous scholar about 100 years ago. He passed away in the late 90s. Uh, he did a tremendous contribution to the Deen. He was a Jordanian scholar, Imam Albani. You must have heard of Albani. Come on, you have heard of Albani. Please tell me yes. Okay. Okay. If you open up any online website, it will say Da'if Albani, Sahih Albani. It's authenticated by Albani. He had tremendous contribution. He was an anti-Madhhabi. He didn't believe in the Madhhab. So he wrote a book also with evidences. He didn't say Hanafi says this, Shafi'i says this. He said, this is the way to do it. This is the right way because this is the hadith and this is the Quran and X, Y, Z. He actually was the, you can say, the catalyst for the Salafi movement. And everybody started to follow Imam Albani, rahimahullah. He had a tremendous contribution. Okay. Anyways, but you get the idea. So benefits of Salafi movement is it boosted the need for people wanting to know what the evidences are. It created all of this information we have today. Today, the only reason I'm half educated or sort of educated or seem educated is because of all of the information that's available that is accessible to all of us that and that the Salafis actually created a reason for this to exist. Otherwise, they wouldn't. Okay. They also did many other things. They necessitated the authentication of the hadith. For example, if you're just following the school of Imam Abu Hanifa or Imam Shafi'i and those, you're just going to follow your teachers, right? They're going to quote an evidence. You're going to take their word for it. Correct? Correct. Believe me, before Imam Albani, other than Bukhari and Muslim, which are considered authentic, Sunan al-Nasa'i, Sunan Tirmidhi, Sunan Ibn Majah, Sunan Abi Dawud, all of those hadiths were not graded before Imam Albani. He's like, I am going to grade all these hadith, and I'm going to tell you this is Sahih, this is Hasan, this is Da'if, this is. So he was the catalyst to give importance to the authentication of the hadith that hadn't happened before. That was his amazing contribution to the ummah. We have to thank Imam Albani, but he was an anti-madhhab. You understand what's driving him and how we benefit from him, etc. Okay, he's not the only person authenticating hadith. There's other scholars as well. There's a very very famous scholar. His name is Sheikh Al-Arnaut. Allah yahfidhu. He's still alive. He's from the family of Imam Albani. He is re-authenticating all the hadith. And there's others as well. Okay, so he challenged also the Salafis. They challenged superstitious practices, just because a lot of the mentality of the followers of the pre-Salafi movement was taqleed. What does taqleed mean? Following your school. It's called just following. So the Salafis, when they started to challenge everyone, they're like, and they, as a result of taqleed, they have stupid superstition practices. For example, you know the Desi superstition practice. What did astaghfirullah. What did they do with the janamas after they pray? Where does that come from? Wallahi, I swear to you, I don't know what that. This happens in my home too. Okay, I can't stop it. No problem. So that's a good thing. Why is Shaitan praying a bad thing? I don't understand. Astaghfirullah. Anyways, so superstitious practices, right? So they challenged them. Okay, why are you doing this? Okay, and then as a result of that, started the Wahhabi movement and all of that, which has its own issues, and they became very very strict and rigid. Okay, they didn't have a lot of movement degrees of freedom inside, but they themselves differed amongst each other anyways. But the good part is they challenged the superstitious practices, and those superstitious practices are pretty much now going away. Okay, People now who are just doing taqleed, now you are going to ask me, right? Growing up, Ustad Adnan, what is the evidence for this? You're going to ask me. Before that never used to happen. Nobody used to ask for evidence. They just used to say, my sheikh said this, I'm going to do this. Clear? So now you see the benefits, right? Anyway, you get the idea. So that's a little bit about Salafism. Is that helpful? Okay. It's got its good and its bad. Okay. It actually has a lot of bad too, a lot of bad, because it creates a lot of toxicity in the Ummah today. All of these online scholars that you see, Sheikh Qasim, do you know Sheikh Qasim? Okay, he's a Salafi, for example. And he's going to call everything else wrong, and his opinion is correct. So it created a black and white situation. My way or the highway. That wasn't the case before. Okay, there was a lot of respect across schools. But there was a lot of respect across schools over time. You're gonna be super shocked. In Masjidul Haram, in Mecca, around the Kaaba, do you know there was a time when there were 4 imams leading 4 prayers, because one was Shafi'i, one was Maliki, one was Hanbali, one was Hanafi. They did not agree to pray behind each other. There was a long time ago, but that did happen. Subhanallah. 2016 too? Huh? 2016? No, Habibi. Yeah. Okay. There were literally 4 mihrabs around the Kaaba. Literally. Very scary. Alhamdulillah, we don't live at those times. But we have our own challenges right now. The my way or the highway. This is correct. Oh, and that's why people now, what are they doing when they want to disprove you or disagree with you? Oh, there's a hadith. It's authentic. Gets it authentic by Albani, okay? Quoted by the Salafi movement, and they're going to reject your thought process or your school, and they're going to go, no, I have the clear evidence. You're wrong. I'm right. Thank you very much. So that creates a lot of issues. Anyway, I'm going to move on. You guys get the idea, right? Clear? Yes. So what are you supposed to do with such people? You say, you're right. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You're right. Thank you for this evidence. Alhamdulillah, you gave me light. Now I can actually go back and I'm going to ask my scholars as well. Khalas. Okay. Don't let anyone, if you know you're following the right opinion of your school or whichever school you are trained in, just that's your response. Okay. Now, if you're interested, what they might have to say might be really interesting to you. And what they say is more interesting to you. And what your schools say, they don't have much interesting information for you, or you don't feel their opinion, you can't really trust that opinion, then no problem, you follow this opinion. Okay, we'll talk about this in a second. So taqleed, I just wanted to talk about taqleed. Taqleed means to follow, okay? To follow the opinion of a scholar, of a known scholar. So which madhhab should you follow? Which madhhab should you follow? Everybody asks that question, right? It's a very important question. I want you to ask me questions too, right? If I'm not explaining this correctly. Let me tell you a story. Story at the time of Sirah, okay, of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what madhab to follow from. You'll understand which madhab to follow based on this story. This is the famous story that everyone talks about when they're learning the beginnings of fiqh, okay? And you must have heard it before. You remember the Battle of Khandaq? Okay. Why were the Muslims so much in trouble? Why did they dig a trench to protect themselves? Because they felt cornered, because they didn't know there were 10,000 non-Muslims coming to raid Medina. They didn't know, they didn't have time. So they basically dug a trench. And what caused that to happen? The Jews in Medina This is just a side story, just so you understand the context. The Jews in Medina or around Medina, they conspired against the Muslims because they wanted to squash the Muslims, right? So they conspired with the non-Muslims, the Mushrikun of Makkah and other tribes in the area, and they basically broke the contract. They remember the Treaty of Medina, where you're going to protect us and we're going to protect you. They broke the treaty because they were traitors. They sided with the kuffar, okay, against the Muslims. They broke the treaty, and treaties are sacred in Islam, very sacred. After Allah Subhanahu wa Taala sent that wind, which made all of the disbelievers flee, they ran away. 10,000 of them, they ran away. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala protected by sending that wind. The Muslims felt safe. They came back. Jibril alayhi salam came down and said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders you to go back to this Jewish tribe, Banu Qurayza, who were the traitors. They did the treachery, okay? And you basically go and fight them. Rasulullah said they just come back from Khandaq, which took a long time because they dug the trench. I don't know how, I don't remember now. It took a month or something like. They were tired. They didn't have food to eat. Now they're commanded to go and fight Banu Qurayza. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this happened in the morning. I think, no, this happened after Dhuhr Salah. He told the Sahabi, Jibril has come down and this is what he ordered. Hurry up and pray. Okay, I will read the hadith. Okay, this is in Muttafaq alayh. It's in Bukhari and Muslim. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لما رجع من الأحزاب, when he came back from Ahzab, لا يصلين أحدنا العصر إلا في بني قريظة. None of you should pray Asr until Banu Qurayza. That's what he said. None of you pray Asr until you reach Bani Qurayza. Based on what I just said, and I'm translating, and already the translation will have a bias. What do you think you guys will do? Let's hear. What would you do? When would you pray Asr? And Banu Qurayza it probably is less than half a day journey on foot. Okay, and obviously you're on foot. So when will you pray Asr? What will you do about Asr? You will delay your Asr until you read Banu Qurayza? What if the Asr time is going? What are you going to do? On the way, what are you going to do? Because it's traveling, no, this is before those rulings, Habibi. The rules of this is at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's not, none of those rules exist, that the ones that we know, the convenient, when you're traveling, you do XYZ. None of that exists. What are you going to do? Follow the order. If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, that's exactly what certain Sahabi said. They're like, we don't care if the Salah at the time of Asr is leaving. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered us. We can. The order came from Jibril, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. What did some of the other Sahaba do? They're like, we can't pray Asr. It's time for Asr right now. We have to pray Asr. So they disagreed with each other. You understand how something can be misunderstood? What was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was his intention? Huh? Yes, he's saying go to Banu Qurayza as soon as you can. Hurry up. That's what he was really saying to them. Hurry up and go to Banu Qurayza, because Rasulullah did not want to delay the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying to everybody, hurry up and get to Banu Qurayza. Hurry up so much that pray Asr over there. That's how soon you have to get there. That's what his intention was. But what did the Sahaba understand? They have to literally take the Asr to Banu Qurayza, or I have to break the order of Rasulullah because time of Asr is escaping me. So the hadith continues. Okay, you get the idea? It's very interesting. Which madhab are they following? They're going to have a different opinion, right? You see how the different opinions come? So, فَأَدْرَكَ بَعْضُهُمُ الْعَصْرَ فِي الطَّرِيقِ. Then some of them prayed Asr on the way because it was leaving. فَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ لَا نُصَلِّي حَتَّى نَأْتِيهَا. We will not pray until we get there. وَقَالَ بَعْضُهُمْ بَلْ نُصَلِّي لَمْ يُرِدْ مِنَّا ذَلِكَ. Basically, that's not what his intention was. That's what he said. فَذُكِرَ لِلنَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Then both of them, they came to Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. Which one of us is right? Mhm. فَلَمْ يُعَنِّفْ وَاحِدًا مِنْهُمْ. And he said he did not blame either party. He did not say you're wrong and he's right or he's wrong. He didn't say that. متفق. Very, very famous incident of fiqh. So now you understand how you interpret something when your goal is to follow the sunnah. Your goal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding you for your goal and for the right understanding. Anyways, you guys follow? Understand? Which madhab are you going to follow? Okay. Anyways, so the difference of opinions goes back to the time of Sahaba. Okay. This is just one example. The difference of opinions goes back to the Sahaba. All major schools are respected. You follow whichever school you want. And if your heart leans to more to the other school relative to another that you might be brought up in, follow that school, no problem. Okay, this is how we all need to work. Okay, so this is your take-home advice. Okay, you all can see this, right? We are lay people. We are not scholars. Agree? Yes. Okay. What do we need to do? We need to do taqleed, follow. Okay, we need to follow. Okay, and follow whom? Who do we follow? Follow someone who is genuinely knowledgeable and qualified. Correct? Clear? Somebody who is sincere. You know, they're sincere. They don't have an ego. Okay, because they follow the sunnah. They represent the sunnah. They follow the sunnah according to what you can tell, right? As far as you can tell. And they are accessible to you. You can reach and ask questions and then you get a response, right? These people, whatever they tell you is what you do. Some scholars say, and I completely agree, the general public, the lay people, we don't really have a madhab. You don't even know what makes you Hanafi or Shafi'i. You don't know. If I ask you what makes you Shafi'i, oh, you're like, I don't do X, Y, Z. So that, no, you don't even know what that means. So follow this criteria, somebody who is genuinely qualified, and genuinely knowledgeable, sincere, trustworthy, and accessible to you. When you go to them for an opinion, they give you an opinion, you follow that opinion. That's your job. So your ijtihad, remember ijtihad? Your ijtihad is to find that person, not to do ijtihad of the Quran and Sunnah. Okay? Your ijtihad my ijtihad is to follow the opinion of such a scholar, such a respectable scholars. For example, Sheikh Ninawi. He's there, he's accessible to you. You go to him, and it doesn't matter whether it must not matter to you whether he's Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali. It must not matter to you. That is not for you to decide. It is not. You don't even know how to spell some of these words, right? That is not a criteria. He's not part of my school, so I'm not going to listen to him. Your job is to, if he is knowledgeable, trustworthy, and accessible to you, and meets all the checks all those boxes, whatever he says, you are obliged to follow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran very clearly, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you do not know. So whatever they say, you follow. You're obliged to follow by the commandment of the Quran. Okay? Am I making myself clear? Stop the sectarianism. The general public doesn't have a madhab. Okay. Now, for the social unity, does it make sense, like in some place in like Pakistan or India, in a community, that when the majority is following the school, try not to be different from people. Okay, be more united. But in the US right now, there's all kinds of people right now. Okay, try to be united by having this diversity and respect amongst each other. Making sense? Okay. I wanted to cover so much more today, but yeah. Any questions? I know this was a big important topic, but that I wanted to cover. You yes. For the kids, right? Yeah. And you tell them how to do. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Since you said it, like in Quran, there's an ayat that I want to make sure they understand this. We will get to the details. Right now, I'm just giving an introduction. But they will be questioning, okay. Of course. Adnan said this. You can just, yeah. I don't know what it is. Yeah. I just want to make sure they understand. Yeah. And I'm not making up opinions. I'm just sharing information from top scholars. That's all I'm doing. At the moment, yeah. You got the checklist and you qualify. I don't know. No. I'm not a mufti. I don't have credentials. Don't listen to me. Those who claim to have that, please follow them. Okay? Don't follow me. I'm just educating you what the right things to do are, what the right choices to make are. Don't come to me for a fatwa. I'm not a mufti. I'm not qualified for that position. I'm not. Okay. I barely my level of knowledge is barely scratching the surface, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the judge, and you guys can tell. But follow those people, if they're mufti XYZ, follow them. Okay. If they're sheikh XYZ, follow them, please. Okay. I'm neither of those two. All I'm doing right now is elevating your level of knowledge so you can make the right decisions for yourself and your children. Inshallah. Okay. Okay. So I'm not that person. Okay. Personally, at my level, for me myself, I'm at a position where I know all the stuff, right? So I'm going to pick the opinion that resonates with me more. Are you at that level? No, not yet. Okay. There's a long journey. You have to spend 20, 30 years, Habibi. You have to read a lot. You have to learn a lot. You have to memorize a lot. You have to be super familiar with the Quran. You have to have read thousands of ahadith. You have to know Arabic. You have to know so many things before you can even have an opinion. Okay. So me personally, I will do what I feel. So that's why when somebody asks me, what am I? I'm humbly trained, but I pick an opinion which according to all of the evidences, and I can have access to all these books, and I can read their justifications, and I'm gonna go, this one makes more sense to me, so I'm gonna pick that. Are you at that level? No, you're not at the level, so don't do it. You can't do it. You follow the people of knowledge. Right? Makes sense? Yes. Go ahead. 25 at least, yeah. Long time. Lots of blood and sweat and lots of misdirection, right? Lots of sectarian. Remember, I'm a product of the Salafi movement, right? Remember I told you? That what really got me going into this. Alhamdulillah for that, for the benefits, but there's a lot of disbenefits and there's a lot of negatives and a lot of toxicity that comes along with it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala join our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us respect each other and respect each other's opinions. And there is no such thing as my way or the highway in our deen. Their things are complicated. Let the scholars at their level of academia do the debates. We are not even worthy to be part of those conversations. Okay? We are not worthy to be even listening into those conversations because 99% of it is gonna go over your heads. Okay? So let the scholars debate. You just follow the one you respect and you feel are worthy for that respect. Khalas? Okay, assalamu alaikum. Barakallah. Anything that I said that is incorrect, that is from shaitan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is free for them.